for now, in the lead up to the 2023 elections, we're looking at issues concerning that. How do we get better leaders? How do we get better policies? How do we make the Nigerian person conscious of who he is? How to make our country better? How to make the proper decisions and things that will lead us to that El Dorado. Every citizen wants a better country, wants a better treatment. Across Nigeria, when you go around, you hear complaints. Some people point fingers, say this tribe are enjoying more. When you go to that tribe, they point back at the other tribe, say they're enjoying more. So definitely there are challenges in our country. And politics now is a platform we have put together to see how we can look at these issues and profile solutions to them. My name is Ernest once again. Today, recently, you have heard it, the CBN not too long ago came up with a policy of a limit of cash withdrawals, which is supposed to take effect from next year. There's been a lot of hoopla. People have complained, people have grumbled and said things. And then, of course, he has been the CBN governor was summoned to the National Assembly, and there have been different reactions from different persons. While some people are in support, others are firmly against it, and they're succumbing to pressure. Just yesterday here, we understand that the CBN has done an upgrade, an upward review of those positions. That is not our problem, actually, because there are certain issues have come up as to the reasons why the CBN took such measures as to telling people that there is a limit to how much you can withdraw per day, as well as corporate citizens as well. So today on the show, we want to look at that. Some people say there are political undertones behind it. Others say it's a great economic decision. So today in the studio, I have two gentlemen to help us look at this issue and see whether they know much about it. They are not financial experts. Let's be clear of that. We are not looking at this from a financial angle. We're looking at the political implications of that decision, because so many politicians have talked about it one way or the other. I have joining me this afternoon, Abdul Fattah Abdul Salam, Managing Editor of the Peace Magazine. Abdul, very welcome to the studios of Citizen FM once again.
Good afternoon, Nigerians.
Okay, I appreciate you always having time to join us when we call upon you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Also joining him is my very good friend, my dear friend, for some time now. He's a journalist and media scholar, no other person than Paul Obi. Paul, you're very welcome to the studios.
Thank you, Nigerians.
Good day, FM. All right. Paul, let me start with you. Abdul, I started with you. You were with me recently. Yeah, Paul, let me start with you. When you heard of this policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria, let's start with the original sum of 100,000 for individuals per week and the 500,000 for corporate entities per week. When you heard of that policy, and people were saying that it was targeted at opposition parties to stifle them from having enough cash with which to campaign come next year. What was your initial reaction?
The issue is that when you look at the whole policy in terms of from the CBN angle, when it kind of looked like very chaotic, there was no seamless process of rolling out the policy, and its implementation also was too abrupt and not painstaking, not carefully executed. But if the policy is sincerely targeted at the political terrain ahead of 2023 elections, there's some credit to it. Elections have consequence. Elections are the pillar of democracy. They are the guideposts upon which any society, any sane society, depend upon to govern itself, to elect its leaders. And if that process or that electoral system is compromised into clientele or transactional process, democracy itself is condemned to chaotic situation, is condemned to a criminal process. So if that policy was targeted at the political elections, I will agree based on where I'm coming from.
Do you agree? Is that the way you feel, that this policy, this CBN is targeting politicians?
It has some level of connotation there. It connotes some undertones that are politically driven. So that's how I see it. So the elections our previous elections, there have been clear cases of vote buying. There have been clear cases of financial inducement.
Okay.
We saw the leader of APC, Tinubu, in some years back, rolling out blue vans on the day of elections.
That's precisely in 2019.
In 2019.
That is correct.
Rolling out blue vans. And no one could question him on the intention of that activity, the intention of that rolling out of.
There were statements he made later that it's my money. I didn't steal from anyone.
On election day.
Yeah, but I remember that. Yes.
It's bizarre. It's absurd for anybody to say it's money on the day of election.
Okay, the policy is targeted at all of that. Okay.
So let us, if the CBN is sincere, and that this policy is targeted at the political class or to stifle the tendency to buy votes or to monetize the electoral process, fine. We need that.
Okay, you are seeing it as a good idea.
As a good idea, but in terms of the implementation and how effective is it going to be, all this depends on the scenarios that are going to play in February and March.
Okay. Abdul, let me come to you. There has been, people have said that it is not political. But maybe some people in the CBN have also said that look at the system we have. The CBN doesn't know how much is in circulation. We've seen videos going viral. We don't know how far they are true because some people have come to deny them, of monies rotting under the bed of persons. And we've seen currencies printed since 2003 still coming out of circulation, fresh mint notes, our own money. And then look at the issue of banditry, bandits demanding millions of naira, and families having to pay raw cash to these persons. And they are looking at the CBN says, no, if at all it affects politics, it is just a side effect. The main target is to know how much we have in circulation and to prevent some criminal activities that is going on in the country. Do you agree with that? Or are you also siding with Paul that to an extent the political terrain was the primary target of this policy?
Well, I want to differ a bit from what Paul just said.
Okay.
I want to look at it on a legacy building by the current president. He has barely 5 months to the end of his tenure, and he still wants to do more and see what he can do to change the narratives. The level of corruption in the country is huge, and maybe that is his own style of trying to tame corruption.
After 7.5 years, it's now
it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter because you can do it within 3-4 months if it's possible. Some of those people that had already amassed so much wealth on Naira and Kobo somewhere in their bedrooms, in their bullion vans. There's so many bullion vans around, or movable and immovable bullion vans. Okay? So people would have stacked a lot of money, and maybe the president agree with the CBN governor that this is the best way to tempt the tide. And that could be one factor. Ultimately, it's going to help even the political terrain in terms of trying to prevent vote buying, even changing of election, buying the REC and other groups like that. So I want to agree that it has a good advantages, but the implementation could be very, very faulty.
Okay, you believe that just like Paul said, the chaotic implementation, the short transition period from one policy to the other may affect the overall implementation of this policy.
It might, because let's just say there was another policy release from CBN.
That is correct. That is
trying to change the narratives again, increase by maybe.
I wanted to ask you that. Okay. How do you feel about that? That we have a policy in our country. We are looking at making our country a better place. Then there's a vociferous shout by some persons in power, the legislators especially, who to an extent may be targets of this policy. And without testing that policy practically, without testing it, we succumb to pressure and we suddenly begin to upgrade and adjust that policy when we have not even tested it. I don't know how you feel. I was worried when I heard the news yesterday that the CBN has increased it from 100,000 to 500 and 500,000 to 5 million. So how do you feel about that? That a policy that has not even been tested even for 1 week, so that we know the fault lines and know how to clean it up, we're already adjusting it.
initially the policies was unrealistic.
Oh, you mean it was unrealistic?
Initially.
Okay.
Okay, and that was Nigeria there was a whole of crime in the society.
But somebody asked me, Ernest, the legislators are talking about the rural dwellers. These are rural dwellers. They can stay for 1 month without seeing 20,000 naira. So it's not about rural dwellers. If these people are talking about, say, because of the people in the villages and in the rural areas, these people don't deal with cash.
You know, elites rule this country. Whatever happens in the rural dwellers is also just by the way.
Okay.
But more importantly, the policy initially is just hot. For instance, how do you say the whole someone who is a businessman has to withdraw only 100,000 in a week? When that 100,000, you need to spend it even in a day for some circumstances. Okay, if you have 5 cars on the road, maybe your company or whatever, and you have to fill those cars, they say okay, you can transfer, but sometimes it might not be reality. Nigeria economy is a cash economy. It's not cashless. Yes, most of the business guys on the streets, you want to buy something of 20,000 or 35,000, they want your cash and count and move on. So this is why we have a challenge. So we're not allowing the increase. I think it's just trying to, let's accept we were wrong in the first instance. For policies to be tested, it has to circulate wide. There has to be and perhaps a lot of analysis, content analysis of the policy. This one was just thrown on us. It could be political, as I told you. It could be a legacy seeking by the Mr. President, and they just thrown on Nigerians out of a blue, and it became chaotic, as Paul had just said.
Okay, but Paul, I don't know. People say that part of this is they are looking at Emefiele, that this was a vengeance by him. He made a foray into politics, and he got his fingers burnt, although he never came out openly, and that he now had the courage. Okay, these guys didn't want me to get into their level. I'm going to hit them hard where it hurts most. I don't know. Do you align with that thinking? Do you see any credibility to that school of thought?
Yeah, I'm going to look at it from different layers. One, on that aspect, I want to say we should set that aside.
Okay, it's just a street talk.
But in the history of Nigeria,
this
is the most controversial, scandal-ridden CBN governor I've ever seen since I was born in this country. And it's sad. It tells a lot. It's a telling catastrophe of how we recruit people.
Paul, you say that, but see, here we are. This is one of the first CBN governors to have 2 tenures. It means that he must be satisfying the president to an extent to get a second tenure.
Is he serving the president or serving Nigeria?
The president who appointed him, he must be happy with him. That's what I mean.
His responsibility, is it to serve the president or to serve the country?
The president is serving the country, yes?
No, it's to serve the country.
If it were, okay,
let's not argue. Controversial and scandal-ridden CBN governor in the history of Nigeria. Then, secondly, you know, we have to be very circumspect and look at this thing. The elite who are coming out to shout down this policy.
Okay.
About 133 million Nigerians do not have access to even $1 a day.
1 naira. Don't use dollars, please.
Let me use dollar.
Use naira. Let people know they don't have 10 naira in their pockets.
They don't have access to raw cash. To have even 10,000 a month.
Okay.
For them is like a celebration. And then each time they want to stay in Abuja, stay in Lagos and Port Harcourt and Kano and all these metropolis and say these things, they will be saying the rural poor. They don't give a damn about the rural poor.
Okay.
So we need to set that straight. It's not about the rural poor. It's about the elites.
So the legislators and all the people who are shouting the policy down were only talking for themselves.
They are talking for themselves. They are using the rural poor as a shield for their nefarious intentions or ulterior motives. Then again, let's look at if this policy is, if circulation of money, raw cash, we are looking at raw cash, not transaction. Please, I would like to differ a little bit. To a certain degree, our economy and business transaction have moved to the digital platforms. Please, we need to accept that also. Now, if circulation of money is disrupted, circulation of raw cash is disrupted during the elections, that would be fine for us, because the elections are very critical. We need to have sane elections.
We need that point,
to have elections that are not monetarily induced, that are not transactional. So once this policy, if it's implemented, but because the status, the lack of trust, the distrust on CBN and its governor. Its governor. So people tend to take most of the policies.
So they transfer that distrust to the policies
itself. Okay. And then the chaotic nature, the lack of discreteness in the implementation has also contributed to this controversy.
Abdul, you were saying something about the amount of cash you need and all of that. According to my understanding, if you have 1 billion naira, 20 billion or whatever as your value, it is still your money. The CBN is not saying it's not your money. What they are saying is that paper, that token money, as they call it in economics, is for the government. It is not for you to keep it in your backyard the way you like. If you are caught tearing that thing, despite the fact it is your own, it is an offense. The value of your money remains with you. You have 20 billion, but that raw paper you are holding is for the government. So what they are saying is, if you want to do your business, we don't want cash. Transfer, find another way, write a check, do all those things. They are not saying you cannot spend it. You can spend 20 billion in a day through other means. They are only talking about the value of cash that you use. So I don't know how you understand that in respect of the statement you made earlier, that people need so much money to move around.
No, I was just looking at the time frame that was given and the suddenness of...
Okay, so you actually are in support of this policy.
Yes.
Okay, now let me ask you, how do you think that this policy, if well implemented, can disrupt people from monetizing our elections? People say you can still transfer money, you can still find other ways to induce voters and bribe the regs or whatever they call them, the election monitors and the election observers and those who actually have work to do with transmission of results that people can still do. How do you think it will help?
Well, if you do transfers to bribe electoral officers, for instance, it is easily traceable.
Okay.
And that's one of the...
There's a money trail.
Yes. So I think that's one of the reasons why this policy is being put in place somehow. So any deal done during electoral matters is traceable. So the government or whoever want is interested to know what really happened behind the scenes. They can easily get the details. But if it is cash you are carrying, you might not even be able to trace it. So what I'm saying is that if it is well implemented and followed strictly, it will help to some reasonable level to check all this monitoring that goes on on the election day, vote buying particularly. For instance, you some of them will come with 1 million, 2 million to a voting area. We have about 500, thinking that 200 in 500 places, that's about just 1 million or thereabout, trying to give it to people to influence their votes. That will be seriously checked this time around, if the policies is well implemented.
Okay, but do you think that before policies like these are put in place, that it would have been great for the CBN to maybe go out there, monitor and sample opinions of persons who may be knowledgeable on these issues to guide them in the implementation so that we can get maximum results from it?
I tell you, it's not only Nigeria that is kind of like implementing or bringing out this policy. I think even the UK, they like gave 1 year. They are going to give 1 year, and even the old currency is going to be in circulation to a large extent.
Okay.
More than 1 year, it's going to exceed 1 year to tell you how policies like this are implemented. Now, because of the nature of the elections, you see the political class are shouting. They're shouting more.
Blue murder.
They're shouting blue murder.
That is correct.
Because they're the ones that perpetrate this thing. Let us also face the fact, as a follow-up to what my colleague said, the governorship election in Ekiti State, the last governorship election in Ekiti State, was highly monetized.
Okay.
There was complete transaction.
You were an observer there?
I didn't go to Ekiti, but there were clear cases of vote buying. Naked display of vote buying in Ekiti for the governorship election. So if there's any way this policy can stop that, we will support it. But we are looking at the aim, the implementation. These are things that need to be taken into consideration. Like you said, it was haphazardly implemented.
So you believe that possibly the CBN should have come up with this policy prior?
7 months, 8 months, or 1 year too.
Okay, so it was a knee-jerk reaction.
A knee-jerk reaction, like just in a shambolic way, not discreetly planned and executed. That's how I see it. So, but generally, let us wait and see what will happen. So, if people are going to, and it's not only naira, a lot of people might have thought dollars.
Okay.
Dollars might be for electoral officials,
Okay.
INEC officials, some stakeholders on electoral institutions. Those one could be bribed with dollars, but for the ordinary voters
in rural areas. Okay. Now, Abdul, let me come to you. Over the years in our country, what we have observed is that when things go wrong, and because it is the political class, people who are supposed to first obey the law, that are concerned who in disobeying the law, rather than using the law to settle that matter, the authorities come up with policies that punishes the ordinary citizen rather than arresting and prosecuting those who are involved in those acts. If the laws are implemented as to how to handle the naira and as not to buy votes and all of that are properly implemented, because as of today, that's why we are complaining and accusing vote buying. No one has been prosecuted by the system. And so a policy is now put in place that impacts everybody else, whereas we know the culprits, we know the offenders of this issue. Why do you think that is that rather than handling those who are offending, a policy is now brought that affects the whole citizens possibly negatively?
In this from Nigerian elections, it's difficult. Certain things are just difficult.
Well, what is difficult?
I'm going
to arrest offenders?
Let me tell you something. Sometimes the law is a house where if you have your way, you can always go out against Nigerian laws. Okay? You have to prove. They will tell that most of these people you are mentioning, there's no evidence or concrete proof that they do this, they do that. Somebody said there was bullion vans that were being moved around in 2019. Said, this is some money. So is there any law that says he cannot move his money in bullion vans? So these are the system. So for us to move forward, we start looking at the systems and see how it could be rejigged. Okay. Surely we need scapegoats. Maybe these new electoral laws can help us. 2023 should be a scapegoat thing. And it will be very good legacy for Buhari, for instance, to even make a scapegoat among his own party members. One on we on the other. You see, for instance, NDLA is fighting a lot of war against drugs, and the barons are being arrested and being prosecuted and being jailed, and they're mentioned. So you have barons in the political circle too. They should all be prosecuted and arrested. But again, is there any law in Nigeria, electoral law says if you do this is your punishment? Who is going to implement that? How much of that go to the courts? And when you get to the Lord court, it can take next 3, 4, 5 years. So it's back to zero ground. So what I'm saying in essence is that the law and the system has to be rejigged to get things done rightly about this implementation and things like that.
Okay, but Paul, you want to say add to that?
Yeah, I want to recall an incident in Ekiti. Let's go back to Ekiti again.
Okay.
In one of the campaign in Ekiti State, the presidential candidate of APC told them in Yoruba, I don't speak Yoruba, I'm not good in Yoruba, but I think it's something like, if you vote, you will touch money. Somebody that speaks Yoruba,
but that could just be a statement, Paul.
What statement?
You can't hold
if you
that.
Vote,
that does not. That
if you vote, you will touch money.
Okay.
You vote, you touch money.
Okay.
Emma vote, Emma towo, or something. You understand?
Abdul, you're laughing. So please, Paul, make sure you are not abusing us here by speaking Yoruba.
No. These are samples of
Paul, let me ask, do you think that this policy on its own can work alone without the political will to prosecute those who are found guilty of this electoral offense of monetizing the election, i.e. vote buying and the rest of the things that go with it?
I share the position of my colleague in terms of finding it difficult to persecute people.
Is that because it is the ruling party that does it first, and so they don't want to prosecute their members, and so opposition only joins them, and so it will be difficult to...
In fact, as this law is at this moment, if you go and do a sample, it's likely going to be that the president's party members are most at the forefront, vehemently opposing this policy more than even other parties. So when we set out policies and laws, the ruling party, the government officials are more in breach of that law or policy than even the ordinary citizen on the streets.
Why do you think it is so? If they are there to move our country forward, why is it then that it is the ruling party and the officials that disobey that law first, and therefore send our country into chaos?
They're not there to move the country forward.
How do you react to that? That we have a policy on ground, and this is the party of the president, and they have majority in both houses of the National Assembly, and they are the ones kicking against it. And most Nigerians believe that this policy, if well implemented, is good for the country as per the elections and other economic activities.
Politicians and some of elected officers are not for Nigerian causes. They are not for our cause. They're on their own.
This is so many times my guests are saying this on this program, and I want Nigerians to take note that politicians are not interested in
this crop of politicians. This crop of
politicians, maybe in the nearest future.
Maybe in the next.
Okay, so I'm of the view that they knew that it could be very difficult. You see, it's sometimes when you're a thief, you know how to apprehend another thief. They already knew that if this policy is well implemented, there will be challenges. So they want to make sure that it does not work. Because they're the one that will go on the streets and induced voters to buy voters. He said, whether you like it or not, he said, when power is corrupt, it's absolutely. So what I'm saying is that when we have people in power that have seen power, politics, as a source of livelihood, they will do everything to defend it. And part of defense is to ensure that policy of CBN, if going to work at all, it should be after the elections. Okay? Because if it gets to election period, it's very difficult for them to really move out a lot of money, as they would have thought it's easy to do. So the power in power, one of the things in Nigerian politics is also that when you're in power, you seem to have the all arsenal to use to win elections. So that's why I still dove my heart for Jonathan when he considered that the defeat in 2015. It's not easy. If it was somebody else, he would have gone AY.
Abdul, we can't go into that. He actually lost an election.
It doesn't really matter, presidency.
Abdul, you're bringing factors that we're not discussing. He lost an election.
I agree.
So he has to step aside for the man who won the election.
I agree in totality, but I agree with you. But sometimes, if it was some other guys, they would have done a lot of gerrymandering.
Okay, but now Paul, without implementing it even in the first instance, the CBN yesterday came up with a new policy and now increasing the daily or weekly withdrawals to 500,000 for individuals and 5 million naira for corporate citizens. What do you think? Is that not a window to truncate the policy already, even before the policy takes off?
I think this would have been a template they would have set before rolling out the policy itself, because it was harshly pushed out, so they now have the challenges. Understandably, the 5 million threshold for corporate organizations is understandable. Is also within the frame to transact business in a day, or so to say. Then the 500,000 also, it's understandable. But what this policy would do is that on the election day, they will be able to monitor how this money is moving, either in transfer or this thing. But as an individual, you're only entitled to 500,000. So
weekly,
weekly. So if you want to buy votes, within that week, you're only entitled to 500,000 votes. So if you want to buy a vote in the whole local government,
Paul is already monitoring politicians before the elections. Okay, so, Paul, I can understand you're very, very passionate about having very credible elections.
Yes.
And I really appreciate that. All right, you're hearing the voice of my friend Paul Obi. He's a journalist and a media scholar. He's joined me this afternoon to look at this issue because it's been discussed since from the economic point of view, and people have just been whispering. It's targeting politicians. Nobody has really come out to say that. That's why we're coming out to say it today on Politics Now. There's also my friend Abdul Fattah Abdul Salam, managing editor of the Peace magazine, and with the two of them, we have been looking at this issue. It's about time now where we can throw the phone lines open to see how do you feel about this issue yourself? Do you think it's okay? Do you think, if you're from the rural area, could you tell us, do you need 500,000 every week when we know that 30,000 is actually the minimum wage in our country. So you can call in, you can call us 0903 222 9797 0903 222 9797, or better still, call the alternate number 0818 2222 205 0818 2222 I'm even informed by my producer that there is actually a third number, and that is a 0808 2222 037 0808 2222 037. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much. My name is Michael. I'm from Thur.
Oh, Mikey. Mike, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. Thank you very much.
All right, yeah, so thanks for joining us. Yes, let's hear your comments. What's your feeling about this? What do you think? What are the implications of this policy on our electoral process?
Well, I do not know whether, because even after the election, the this thing continue to exist. So I don't know why they are attacking it as a form of, as in maybe because of election.
Okay.
I don't know, because it's not limited to the election. Is it limited to the election?
No, the election is in February, and definitely Nigeria continues to live after that.
So I don't know why we always make it's good in time like this, election is coming. But I also want even to ask, if the money is transferred for you, will it be written that it is transferred because of vote buying? Is it going to signal that this is a vote buying, and then it will be taxed, vote buying, and then it will be monitored because it's a vote buying?
Okay, no, I don't think so.
Yes, any policy you are making, because the question I've been asking the fellow journalists is that those of you who are supporting the CBN move, to limit the cashless, whatever you want to call it, have you able to go to the villages and do a survey, know how many thousands of people exist there, and how many of them won't have a bank account? You understand? And I hardly hear with some people, even if how much that you are paying 50, 100,000, 500,000. Can you limit how much somebody can even make a day? You can't limit that. So why must it be envious that somebody can get more than that? And why are you limiting that it should be because many people do not have that maybe 100,000 or 500,000? You think that people cannot get it? So the thing is that you guys should go to the villages and then do a survey, get the statistics of those who does not have a bank account, and then when you do that, you'll be able to, when you generally, because
okay, so what you're saying, Mike, what you're saying is that there are people who don't have bank accounts at all, so transfers cannot be done to them. The only way they get money is through cash transactions.
Exactly. Like I said last time, if some of them do this farm product, maybe probably you do the trading of a farm product and you have to go and buy crop from them, then you need to withdraw money for you to pay them, because they doesn't have even bank account for you to even to transfer money to them.
But Mike, you can't be doing, a man cannot be doing, Mike, how can you be doing such big business? It's encouraging you to have a bank account. You should. You're doing such big business like that.
Anyway, it's a long process. But
yes.
When people tell you your deal within the bank, what they go through on even when people taking money from your account, for you to go to a bank for them to restore back and help you, they will begin to dribble you, take you here, go here, cut order, this and that. If people tell you what they go on a daily basis,
okay, the challenges, okay.
Anyway,
okay. All right, Mike, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Yeah, gentlemen, you heard the complaints he's bringing up there. These people don't have bank accounts. How do we monitor and trace this? I don't know. If Paul, you okay? You want to react to that?
Yeah, he is talking about...
No. Before you react, let's see who is on the line again. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Okay.
Good afternoon, my brother is waiting there.
Okay, who is on the line, please?
Good afternoon.
Any person who wants to fight, good something for
okay, what's your name, sir? And where are you calling from, please?
My name is sorry, sir. My name is Suleiman from Suleiman Krata.
Oh, Suleiman, our guy. Okay, Suleiman, good afternoon. All right, go ahead. Hello, Suleiman. Oh, we seem to have lost him. We've lost Suleiman there. I'm sure he will call back. The telephone lines are still open. 0903-222-9797, 0818-222-205, and 0808-222-22037. So you can get onto the studio here with us. Hello, good afternoon.
Suleiman.
Okay, Suleiman. Okay, yes. Go ahead, please.
Yes. I'm joining this program we're going to do for this radio house.
Okay, thank you so much.
You see, all those journalists, may God help you now to get money to fight this when they fight.
Okay.
You see, now this time I know Nigeria get law. Our president put to law say if he carry about bossing for election, maybe they should do. Who they against him?
No, I don't think there's a law like that, Suleiman, that is you shoot people with ballot boxes yet. I don't think we have a law like that yet. Okay, but go ahead.
Okay, you know before they know they do election for Nigeria. Now, then they do election where everybody know. If those people now where they there now go support this in them plan, it will help Nigeria. Maybe I don't fear anybody.
Okay.
If our bank, this is our bank, this is our bank. All those issues where they happen now. I thank God they put this 500,000. See, now politics people, no one will go suffer this kind of thing. And they come out how much in a day to feed their family. How much I see some bank now, they work out the 5 people will no get bank. This is government you want to try to make Nigeria because of corruption people. Where you go carry money, where your state you go drop in 10 years, you go dump them. Some people go they back you. Another thing where una go try to una they fight with all those barristers where they support all those criminals. Now if them una go tackle.
All right. Suleiman. Suleiman, I want to thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. All right, gentlemen, I hear you talking a little bit first. Paul, I know you wanted to respond earlier, but see, if we have people who are outside of the banking system, it's corruption in itself already. Don't you agree that people, if you have people who are not in the banking system, like Abdul said earlier, it's because there's a money trail. That's why we're able to capture corruption. If people are outside of the banking system, it gives room to more corrupt activities.
Okay. Your first caller was talking about what dwells on subsistence farmers, subsistence rural dwellers. Yeah, those ones most often don't have accounts. But he presented the problem as if they so much have access to bogus money. Like Mr. Suleiman said, the people that carry bogus money around bribing people on election day are not farmers, are not ordinary people. They are politicians, maybe like even business people. They are politicians who have access to illicit funds.
Okay, looking for ways to compromise
our democratic system.
Okay.
So the best way for us to do is to support the system. But the worry is the fact that the process has been implemented in a chaotic way, and the CBN has not discreetly implemented the policy. I think that is the challenge. Other than that, we should support. If you are spending any kobo, particularly during this election period.
Paul, hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah.
Please just give me one second. Let me make a point now.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes. You guys are following the accusation of a CBN governor about the stamp duty.
That is not our topic for today. We're just looking at.
No. That's something I want to drive at.
Okay, go ahead.
You want to fight something. I mean, you want to let's assume you are even fighting for politicians. But if somebody from the House of Assembly told us, you understand, that there is a particular amount, the stamp money duty are entering a personal account, not a treasurer account, which belongs to the federal government. An individual owns that account and he cannot be able to trace that, and you want to come and tell me that you want to check the politician because the money of anybody can be taxed as a politician.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well, hello. Hello? I don't know. He didn't give us his name or where he was calling from. I think he's in agreement with you that there is this lack of trust of that the CBN governor is involved
This
in so
CBN
many
governor
issues, and as a result of that,
is the most
because of
scandalous
that-
CBN governor.
Okay, before you go, let's take this call. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, please. Can we just give me your name and where you're calling from, please?
My name is Christian. I'm calling from New Karuna, Sarawa.
Okay, Christian from New Car. Please go ahead.
Okay, now, about this policy, I think like the other analyst said in the studio, I think in the first instance, the policy was not realistic.
Okay.
Limiting cash withdrawal for individuals for just 100,000 naira was not realistic. And here is an example. I have a mother who stays in Benue in the village.
Okay.
She goes to the rural villages to buy apple to come back and sell in the town. Now, a bag of apple goes for 600 naira. Sometimes she buys this apple in 400 bags. How do you expect her to do business if she's limited to just withdraw 100,000 naira a week?
But Christian, did you open a bank account for your mother?
My mom has a bank account. That's not an issue for her. The issue is for
so the issue is that the other people she sells with, they cannot do transfers and all of that.
She can do that now. When she goes to the village, to the villagers she's buying from, some of them just sell 2 bags. That is 1,200.
Okay, so she harvests from different persons.
Yes, but it's not that she's going to go and buy from one person.
She's buying in little amounts from so many people. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you see, it's not that 100,000 naira was not realistic. But I love the fact that yesterday they came and asked look at the policy and
now, Christian, you are looking at this from an economic point of view. We are looking at its implication for elections. What do you think in terms of the electoral policies of our country, by vote buying and all of that? Do you think this policy can help us in curbing those areas?
Exactly, and I think that's what Mr. President is looking toward. If you remember very well, and I think we are saying that this policy was forced on us urgently. I think it's not true, because if you remember the introduction of the INERA.
That's correct.
And I hope now, about months ago, we celebrated the anniversary of INERA, and I want to believe that these people came together and said, okay, the Naira was not effective. Then they came with this Naira redesign and all of this. Okay. These were all targeted at the election, but just that we are not paying attention. It's not that the policy have gone into place that we are paying attention to all these things, because there were hints that this was going to happen.
Okay.
Mr. President was assuring us that he was going to give us credible election.
Okay, he has said it so many times. I agree with you, Christian. You are very correct. All right, Christian.
So
yeah, go ahead.
I want to believe that, like the other analyst said, the politicians, they are not for our interest. No, they are not. Okay. And we should be very wary of when they are trying to antagonize issues, because when you look at it very well, this affects them more, not the rural people. Even though it's going to affect my mom, it's going to affect the politicians more. And I think people that are blindly supporting the politicians should take a step back and analyze things for their future. Thank you.
Christian, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, gentlemen, you see that he's agreeing with you there, that this policy, like somebody said here the other time, Paul, he said, look, we need to be ready as citizens. If we are dreaming of a great country, it's not going to come while we are sleeping on our beds. We must make some sacrifices. We must feel some pain. Do you agree with that, Paul?
Okay, yeah, I agree with it. Like I've always said about this policy and its political connotations or underpins, is the fact that it was implemented in a chaotic way. Good enough, they have retracted some steps, and yesterday they elevated it to 500,000 for individual. But it should go beyond that. The issue is that in these 2023 elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, the security agencies,
the police and DSS especially,
the police and the DSS,
who have prosecutorial powers,
the police and the DSS, and the financial institutions should help Nigeria have credible elections. And the CBN is a frontline institution in that regard. And this policy, if it is targeted at the politicians or against vote buying, I'm wholly in support of it. But they need to, next time, they should look for strategic means of communicating their policies and implementation as well.
Okay, Abdul, what do you want to see? Look, I think I follow the tribunal rulings and the presentations in the election that brought, I think, Adams Oshomole to power in Edo State. I remember I heard so many things about the shenanigans put up by some persons, and up till today, not one person was prosecuted. Abdul, what do you think? What do you want to see in this election coming up? Do you think these policies, I've asked this question before, do you think these policies being put in place are more to deter people, or is it by prosecuting someone who was caught with his hand in the till, rigging election, buying votes? Before you answer, let's just quickly take this caller who is just coming in. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello?
Yeah, good afternoon. You're online, please.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm William by name.
Okay, your name is William.
Yes.
Where are you calling from, please?
Yeah, I'm calling from Karo.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, I think it's a good policy.
Okay.
One of the major issues confronting our electoral process in Nigeria is vote buying.
All right.
So, and if a policy has been put in place now to check that abnormally, I think we should all support it, because through that electoral process we can get, good leaders that will help to, turn the fortunes of this country around for the best.
Okay.
Okay. So I think it's a good policy. We should embrace it, and I want to support the government on it.
Oh.
So that is my take.
All right. Thank you so much, William, for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay, you were answering a question, but from what William said, now I want to rephrase that. Why do you think that the voice of the majority of Nigerians are not heard when policies come up and Nigerians support the policy? Only the voice of these few persons who feel that it is not to their favor are being heard. They are the ones who own the media. They are the ones who own everywhere. And the voice of the ordinary Nigerians are suppressed.
It is the principle of driving a car. Who drives the car? The driver that's seated behind the steering wheel. If you have 100 people in that car, he decides what to do.
Okay, he can decide to have an accident.
If he wants to.
Okay.
We've had stories like that. So in institution, where only very few people ruled us, controlled us, through the mechanism, this system, this will continue to have it.
Paul, what do we need to do? We are running out of time now. What do we need to do to get more of the voice of the ordinary Nigerians to be heard across the country, especially when it concerns policies that are to the favor of the people and against the politicians who are actually oppressing us over time?
Through public awareness programs like this.
Why does the government agencies like National Orientation Agency and the rest of them, they're not doing enough to say, what do you think that is?
It's a moribund organization. It's an inept organization that have failed to deliver on its mandate for so many years.
Wow.
And it has continued like that. So let me just make mention of the fact. You see, like
just quickly, we just have less than 60 seconds.
You just mentioned NOA. I have a preview knowledge that NOA today, as it is not well funded for certain publicity.
Is it a bid by the government to stifle it from actually enlightening Nigerians?
Now they can come back to the policy of drivers.
Okay.
The like drivers feel that it's not in distress, it's not of interest. They will just
that we don't need this thing.
They will just keep it there.
Wow.
That's exactly. NOA should have been a very good, as he said, it's almost moribund.
Okay.
But as the people that are there are just handing salaries. Doing nothing.
Like our refineries.
No, I was once in staff of NOA.
Oh, you worked in NOA. So you are one of those that we are looking out for.
No. I was once in staff in NAMSA many years by.
All right.
But we are very, very active.
Okay.
Because we are well funded.
All right, Abdul. I want to thank you. That's the voice of Abdul Fattah Abdul Salam, managing editor of the Peace Magazine. Thank you so much, Abdul, joining me this afternoon to look at this issue of the impact of the cash withdrawal limits on our election. Abdul, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
All right, and also you heard the voice of Paul Obi, a journalist friend of mine. He's also a media scholar. Paul, thank you for joining us here on Citizen FM.
Thank you, Nigerians.
I sincerely hope that, gentlemen, when we invite you next time, you will have the courtesy to also be here with us. Thank you so much. I want to thank Destiny and, of course, Didi, my colleagues who have helped from behind the scenes to ensure we reach you loud and clear, and, of course, the engineering team and the rest of the persons putting one thing or the other together to ensure that we reach you. My name is Ernest. From now, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance. Do have yourself a wonderful day. Politics Now returns to you